Thank you. An occasional poem in honor of Dr. Edward T. Bohahue, the 7th president of Suffolk County Community College, and dedicated to students, alum, staff, faculty, and administration. 1. Forgive me, I cannot write about hope, even as snow melts and unmasks signs of spring and the past looms with its close, claustrophobic shadow, a room difficult to escape, its air difficult to breathe. Our memories lock down, or we shelter in memories, and a future with good weather feels farcical, a pantomime at best. And yet, some of us remain. Some of us lived by keeping our heads above each cold wave, where we dove and swam inside it, our immersion a kind of faith, trusting we'd surface to air and sun. We emerge to honor our loved and lost with more living. When pressed, I place my faith in friends. Perhaps this is my best approximation of hope. Not a feeling or a place like despair, but a people we return to after the worst damage is exacted. Perhaps memory serves us best when it reveals this, that after the onslaught of illness, fear, isolation, and doubt, privation and poverty, empty rhetoric and tenuous polity, something remains. Friendship we recognize, that we can name. 2. My friend Joe articulates skeletons, bones of birds and small beasts he cleans and reassembles inside the hours he's not teaching. Alana, our former student, now an alum, now a friend, studied entomology with him. She recognizes the beauty of thorax, antennae, and spiracle beyond the beauty of those words taking shape in the mouth. She spreads and pins butterflies in her spare time, each minute fragile and vulnerable as a moth wing. Before she left to continue school in the wild elsewhere, she gifted me a ladybug preserved in a jar the size of my thumb. It sits on a shelf in the office I share with Adam, fellow poet, also alum, father of 5, faithful friend. In a different life, I shared an office with Carol on a different campus. She sends letters from different cities now: Venice, Cartagena, Dresden. Always a professor, but bereft of her classroom. In retirement, through letters, she teaches us how to value good wine, good food, and the goodness of strangers in a world that burns darker. Within our darkened campus planetarium, my friend Janet spins the glittering, expanding, collapsing universe. How many students have been simultaneously soothed and terrified sitting beneath so many dying suns? Meredith used our own dying sun early in the pandemic to bleed images in gorgeous cerulean across paper, cyanotype after cyanotype proclaiming, "I'm still here." During those first months when we saw no one and went nowhere, Misty would send small gifts through the mail, surprises that said clearly, "Someone cares." In photos, her partner Sean lifts their small son with arms mapped in tattoos, arcane shapes and hieroglyphics profound as the most beautiful equation, which Ted praises with the same enthusiasm he has for the beautiful boat he sails in the summer waters off the coast of our island. Lisa documents the ocean and the beach in all seasons, helps me quiet my mind with videos of winter surf, wind moving through pine boughs. It's almost enough to drown out the call and quaver of social media, which can be as briny as a wave pool, but also holds so much life. Deb and her nieces and nephews, Maria and her grandson and rescue dogs, Cynthia and Sean's boys petting cats at the shelter, photos of Justin as a little leaguer decades before he wrote his book about baseball. In the months where I didn't see an end to the illness or isolation, despite despising the computer and its torturous blue light, I returned to the apps and the sites for reminders. Phoebe loves travel, her twins, and reggae. Michael makes pierogi and cookies with Nora. Ginny makes us laugh by explaining the use and function of butter curlers. Adrian grooms and rides her horse, Diesel, shares Tristan's latest woodworking builds. Kim reminds us to honor and appreciate our family while we have them to hold while they are near. Chloe graduated, is married, and expecting a baby. Dan teaches Tamsin to duck hunt, and then she schools him in ping pong. Liz makes me wistful for days when we plan travel and doggy play dates. But when I return to campus after the long hiatus, the months after being present while not being in person, it's thrilling to see Susan, even with 6 feet between us, to speak about family and the fun of dating, to hear Dr. Love's voice echo through the student center, to laugh with Loretta at the lunch counter or speak with Rita in between offices she disinfects and cleans, and to feel finally like we, she, they, me, all of us might be close to happiness or at least contentment again. As if one day soon I'll meet with Sandra for sushi and book talk, or compare notes about UFC fights with Doug, or chat in the halls with Mary, who sent me an RBG finger puppet when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed because my friends and I mourned publicly. Perhaps instead of sending sporadic, jokey emails to Cullen, I might meet with him and Anne and share a beer. At the very least, there's a quiet joy because I can meet Eiley in person now, a rare smile among the sea of black squares those first semesters when we were locked into teaching and learning through Zoom. Now Eiley and their peers help me relearn what it means to love language, to love art, to love discovery's adrenaline rush and its softer cousin, introspection. Their enthusiasm reminds me of Keaton, who, like so many of our students, began at Suffolk as one person and continues now at another school in another state, changed. A different person in some ways, but in the important ones, the same. Back when I was first teaching, we talked for hours about music. They would like my friend Murph, who teaches history and devotes hours to reading about faith, to hiking with Leah, but more importantly, shares concert tickets to see Toto and Journey. These are the people I value, they who keep me, yes, to some small, precious extent, believing. 3. Pop songs can't convince me that hope is essential to recovery. The body works without that germ multiplying itself. Yet perhaps recovery is necessary for hope. A body must be made hospitable to the spikes and proteins of optimism. We need proof, however slight, that cells are resilient and regenerative, even late in life. And this is what we mean when we say we need something to live for. The life of our institution, this college, these campuses cannot resist decay without this evidence of recovery in its people. Not just in our lungs, in our joints, in our whole selves which weathered the pandemic and yes, even the storms that predated it, but in the energies, psychological, emotional, intellectual, that we bring back to our classrooms, our offices, our libraries, and our labs, to our studios, our galleries, and our stages. We must care for each other now, our colleagues and co-workers, our peers and acquaintances and friends, in a way that can be hard to justify when the world demands so much. We may use words like hope, but let's be honest. We're tired, so future feels too intangible a term. And some of us, yes, are still reluctant to return to the offices of the old ways because vaccination can't and won't and shouldn't erase disability, nor will it restore compromised immunity or provide daycare for children and aging parents. It won't cure inflation, food insecurity, or war. So let us focus then on the present, on this one moment. Let us recognize how this occasion will help us heal, just as our friends have helped us grow, as they have taught us even when their purpose wasn't to teach, but to clean or balance a budget or answer phones. Even when we couldn't agree, let alone resolve to disagree. Being together again, communing in this space, whether virtual or real, masked or unmasked, standing 6 feet apart or 3, is the way to recovery, our eyes reflecting shared relief. It says, good, you're still here. Thank you.